Welcome everyone to the 39th episode of Conversations with T. This is your host T, and today's guest is an emotional eating coach. She helps women feel more confident about themselves regardless of their body size, and she also helps them build healthier coping habits which don't involve food. She also runs a podcast show which focuses on spirituality, mental health, and emotions, and that's really cool. My guest is very active on Instagram where she educates her audience about the topics she's very passionate about, and she's definitely someone whom we can learn a lot from. I'm super excited to have her on my podcast, and thanks so much for joining me today, Raisa. How have you been?
Thank you so much, C, for inviting me. It's a pleasure, and all is well, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. So I've been following you for a while and I noticed that you're anti-diet. I find that very interesting because we constantly hear other people preaching about how important diets are, what you should eat versus what you shouldn't, etc. But here you are saying no to diets. Do you want to go ahead and explain to us what you meant by anti-diet as well as maybe point out common mistakes that people make when it comes to eating?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I'll probably give like a little bit of a backstory as to how I got here, as to
Yeah.
why I became anti-diet. So initially, as you know, I'm a mom, and after postpartum, I got into a really strict diet because I wanted to lose weight,
Mm,
and all of that actually spiraled into having an eating disorder,
mm,
and that was a really tough time. So at that time, and then after going into healing, I realized that diet was not really the solution. So this is why I'm so anti-diet,
mm,
because it's not really a long-term solution. It's something that it's not sustainable.
mm, mm,
And we set ourselves to really strict measures when it comes to food, and to some extent it's like related to our worth, related to how much we weigh is like how much we're worth.
mm, mm,
So I'm really all about anti-diet, especially that it hurts me when I see like women, because I have been that woman, I have been that lady who would not eat or really have strict portions of food
mm,
for the name of beauty, for the name of diet. And
mm.
for what? And then as you know, I'm sure you know as well, that it affects our mood, it affects our hormones, it affects how we deal with our relationships. It's never just about food.
Mm-hmm. Um, Thank you for sharing that with me. It's really interesting to hear a different point of view because I'm actually one of those people who do follow a strict diet. Even though I eat
Mhm.
healthy for the most part, I do allow myself to have two cheat days where I could help myself with a few desserts. But even during then, I make sure that they're
Mhm.
very limited because I don't want to end up binge eating. And I'm also really scared of gaining weight because sometime in the past I unfortunately became very careless about my health, and I not only ended up gaining a lot of weight, but I also developed health issues as a result. I was also bullied for my weight when I was in school, and I guess that contributed to my fear of becoming fat. Despite my
Mhm.
fears, however, I would say that I'm a lot happier right now about my body shape and health. Alhamdulillah. I
Mhm.
eat healthy and I work out 6 days a week, which is great,
Yeah.
honestly. And speak
Yeah.
and speaking of working out, I'm actually curious to know how you practice discipline as well as the productive lifestyle. I've seen your stories and mashallah, you're doing a really great job. Do you want to share your thoughts as well as any tips um for people who may be struggling with laziness, weight issues, etc.?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. But also, I'd like to thank you for the vulnerability about, sharing what's um what's your current, let's say, diet, or what's working and what's not working. And that's not something that's easy to, let's say, talk about. Because
Yeah,
there's, as you said, like, people bully, or, there's a lot of comments that are not really necessary.
exactly.
And regarding the workouts, and it came from a place of, I don't want to diet anymore. So see, when we don't want to diet anymore, and we just want to nurture our bodies from a place of love, from a place of nurture, is that we enjoy the process of working out. It's never just about punishing ourselves because we ate a big meal. It's never just about I need to work out because I need to lose weight. It becomes a fun activity. It becomes like a challenge to yourself to, okay, this is difficult. This is out of my comfort zone, but this is challenging me. This is where, this is where growth is, and this is how I discipline myself. And uh yeah.
And I'll also admit another thing, even when I have desserts, after that, I usually help myself with either a cup of warm water or a green tea because I want to burn those calories off. And it's just a habit that I've developed over time. It's just my fear of gaining weight has become so intense that I would just I would I ended up doing something radical as that. And um
Mhm.
like if I were to compare myself with now and before, even though I'm more confident about my looks and my physical appearance, a lot more, alhamdulillah, I feel so there's still work to be done. Like I could improve, you know? And
Mhm.
did you also feel that way? Like having
Yeah,
like
absolutely. Absolutely. In any areas of our life, I love that you brought that up, that it almost feels like there's always room to, for improvement. And there is always, like, when we reach a certain area that we feel like we can't improve anymore. And that's, I don't know, I feel like that's not being honest with ourselves. There's
mm,
always room for improvement. And as someone also, for you, like, who is into self-development, we all know that healing is never linear. It's an up and
exactly.
down kind of. Yeah, so we just ride the waves. We're happy at where we're at, but at the same time we want to improve ourselves. And I wanted to touch upon, you brought it up about the fear of gaining weight. This is very common.
Mm,
Honestly, I've been one of them.
mm,
And I think just one thing I want to say is that we need to practice more self-compassion, because where's this fear of weight coming from? It's not just from us. It's like how we were brought up. It's the mainstream
mm,
society. It's the social media, the media bombardment of, what is the standard of beauty. These are very, like, deeply rooted in our beliefs. And it will take time for us to unlearn and unpack, and how to change these narratives of what is the standard of beauty.
mm,
And to answer the question of, do I have days where I don't like myself, where I don't like my body? What I'm gonna say is that it took me a really long time
mm,
to be where I'm at right now.
mm,
There's a period during my healing process that I didn't work out for an entire year, because it was a trigger for me, because
mm,
I would want to work out because I had a big meal. But now, alhamdulillah, like, because of my love for fitness, my love for the whole fitness journey, it turned into something enjoyable instead of a punishment. And to answer if I do have days, I would say that it's very less.
mm,
It's not something like I would check myself in the mirror constantly or weigh myself daily. It's not that anymore. But it used to be that I would be weighing myself, checking myself. I won't even want to be in the pictures.
mm,
I just didn't want to see myself, and as a mom at that time, I would avoid pictures. But then I saw, I saw this quote, or that said something like, your kids would want to see you as a parent in the pictures later on when they grow up. So
mm,
now, if I could see, like, okay, like, now I'm all about, strength training, building muscle. It's all about, looks like I'm making slow progress. So um this is the kind of view that I have right now, but it's never about, um I'm dissatisfied with my body. It's just like, okay, like, we can do better, but more outside of the aesthetic, or more outside of the beauty or the physical standards of how we're supposed to view our body. I think
mm.
I spoke a lot more about this topic. Sorry.
Okay.
So yeah.
So I'm curious to know, did you have any clients who actually who had actual eating disorders such as bulimia, anorexia, binge eating disorder, etc.?
For my clients, you mean?
Yeah. Did you work with someone who had an eating disorder who really struggled with their relationship with food?
Honestly, I didn't have anyone who had an eating disorder. What my clients usually come to me are people who are on a diet and they want to lose weight.
Okay,
So,
okay.
so yeah, so that's mostly why they come to me and how they can deal with the emotional eating part. So that's how they come up to me. But I've never met anyone yet that has, alhamdulillah, I haven't met anyone who had an eating disorder as I did.
Mm. A lot of people when they engage in emotional eating, it it like most of the time they do it out of stress. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's just so easy to feel like I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling lonely, let me grab some cake or let me grab some snacks and this will soothe what I'm feeling. But what happens is that we're just ending up, numbing our feelings. So it's super important to realize, am I actually physically hungry or am I just emotionally hungry? So these are
Mm-hmm.
just like some of the steps, yeah, what I teach my clients with, and they're able to identify if it's actual hunger or they need to listen to their body.
That's so interesting that you brought it up. I think that's the first time I heard of the term emotionally hungry, and it's just so spot on, you know. For those
Mm-hmm.
people who struggle with emotional hunger, what alternatives would you recommend for them?
Mm-hmm. Okay, there's this I tell this to my clients. It's called the HALT method. It's called, am I hungry? Am
Hmm.
I angry?
Oh,
Am I lonely? Or am I tired?
okay.
Before I want to eat. So I ask these questions. Am I
Hmm.
just like, is there any emotion coming up for me? Or am I bored? Do I just want to fill up my time? Am I really hungry? So
Hmm.
so some these are some of the things to realize. And what if, for example, you had that sudden urge to eat? Often, this is emotional hunger. So it's
Hmm.
good to look at it from, what triggered this? Why am I suddenly craving for this?
Hmm.
What's missing? And
Hmm.
completely fine if we're feeling that. We are women, we feel emotions and we're hormonal, we have different, personalities throughout the month. And that's fine, but it's about, having to know when you're actually hungry and when you just want to soothe yourself.
Hmm.
And that's the time, yeah, and that's the time that, we look inward. What can I do for myself today instead of grabbing a snack? What do I really need to do today?
Hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
And touching about what you mentioned earlier about fitness, I couldn't help but think, like we both know that fitness is really great, and most if not all people would support the idea of leading a healthy life, being healthy, staying fit, etc. But there are actually some people who are against that, you know. They would actually shame
Mhm.
people who don't want to be fit, who don't want to be healthy. They label them
Mhm.
as fat phobic. What are your thoughts about
Mhm.
that?
Honestly, I don't agree with, labeling someone as fat phobic, because if you see also like in social media right now, there are so many women which are on the heavier side of the scale and they are like really crushing it. And I'm so, so happy to see these women, because we are now changing the narrative of being fit versus, being heavy. It's not a black or white kind of thing. Like, you can be fit, you can be, lifting heavy weights, you can be doing like cardio regularly. It has nothing to do with our physique, like our what do they say, with how our body looks, you
Mm-hmm.
know like, for someone, I'm gonna give an example. For someone who is like into building muscle, strength training, really big people though, they're not really able to, let's say, have the same stamina or same capacity, or when it comes to cardio, for other people who hasn't trained as much as
Mm-hmm.
them. Like for someone who is a runner,
Mm-hmm.
we can't compare both of them if they have different kinds of training styles.
Exactly.
So Yeah, so you do you, like if you enjoy these kind of workouts, okay, fine, but we can't say that someone is healthy just because they have muscles, or just because they're thin doesn't mean that they're healthy. We can't really say what's going on inside a person's, a body. We just can't.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
actually, I actually don't understand
Would
why.
you-
I actually don't understand why some people would go the extra mile to shame someone for wanting to lead a healthier lifestyle. Other than being
Mhm,
insecure, it doesn't make sense to me, you know?
mhm. Absolutely. I think shame is really something that is people struggle with. Like, I don't understand it as well. Like, how can you shame someone into wanting to better herself, wanting to, you know, just um, just be better? I think it stems from probably insecurity they're that the other person is doing something that I can't do. But that's not for us to, you know, hover upon or really put our energy into. We just do it. That's it. Whatever other people think of us, and that's it. It's easier said than done. I absolutely, emphasize on that. But once we really know who we are at the core and why we do it, these little, noises shouldn't have that much of an impact. But if they do, absolutely fine. That is completely normal. There's no need to shame ourselves as well to feel like I feel bad for someone telling me XYZ.
Mhm. And along with that, I even found out that these people claim that being obese is healthy, and despite the many studies that
Wow.
otherwise, like I just found that's just not true. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
is this the first time you heard
Wow.
that?
Yeah, I'm absolutely stunned. That is my first time to hear that. I'm absolutely stunned.
I'll actually tell you something. When I was in America
Yeah.
for my undergrad, I actually went to visit the school nurse because I had health
Yeah.
issues and I gained weight.
Mhm.
She she told me that obesity was a myth, and there were apparently studies and inverted commas that proved her claim. And after hearing that,
Mhm.
I was surprised. Like, how can a health
Mhm.
professional say something like that? I mean, we know
Wow.
that, yeah, exactly. We know that obesity is far from healthy, and there's so many
Mhm.
illnesses linked with that disorder, like stroke, heart disease. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, agree. Actually, I think after this call, I'm gonna like research about it and see what's that study about if that is actually existing. I really want to know. I'm
yeah,
curious now.
yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, Raisa, thank you so much for taking part in my podcast. It was lovely speaking to you. I hope you have a great day. Thank you and take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure, and thank you as well. Alaikum salam.